In 2022, it was announced that Adobe was going to acquire Figma for $20 billion. In 2023, that merger has been totally annihilated, cancelled, not happening. And who decided that? Well, it was the British. It was the UK. The UK's Competition and Markets Authority decided that this deal was not good. We're going to be talking about why the UK is in California businesses. We're going to be talking about what happened with this merger. We're going to be talking about who the winners are and who the losers are, and what can Figma do next to recover from this, if it was an L at all. Let's start with the beginning. September 15, 2022, Adobe releases a press release that they're going to acquire Figma for $20 billion. Amazing. And then later, Adobe abandons $20 billion acquisition of Figma. This was today, December 18. So after doing some reading, here's what I found. The UK Competition and Markets Authority says that the acquisition would lead to a substantial lessening of competition that will lead to a less incentive to develop its product and improve their quality. In particular, the merger would eliminate an important dynamic competitive threat to Adobe's Illustrator and Photoshop in markets where Adobe has had an entrenched leadership position for decades. Photoshop and Illustrator. So they're saying that because Adobe already has Illustrator and Photoshop, and by including another tool like Figma in their portfolio, designers will not have anything to resort to other than to go to Adobe, which is very interesting. So to counter this, the company said that they disagreed with this assessment and the merger would reduce competition. They said that they were not close competitors and that the merged company would continue to compete against the product design tools. Again, it's like I don't agree with either. But anyway, let's keep going forward. On December 12th, an exec at Adobe also stated that the UK was taking too long and 15 months was just too much to finalize a investigation about a mergers and acquisition about a company. And then this got released. This SEC form, a mutual termination agreement, and now Adobe has to pay Figma $1 billion instead of the $20 billion as a termination fee and cancel this entire merger. I wanted to check out what happened during this time period. And let's go back to when Figma was looking for an exit to begin with. And Figma was looking for an exit and they approached Microsoft and Adobe, but they couldn't conclude a deal with Microsoft, so they ended up going with Adobe, who was giving them a good $20 billion. So after they went through with it and they announced it in 2022, Adobe XD became no longer available. Adobe removed Adobe XD from its product line, and basically they were waiting for Figma to become part of their portfolio and offer it to their customers as soon as the merger would be completed. Adobe is no longer available for purchase as a single application, but will continue to be supported for existing users. So why is the UK interfering in American business? Turns out when you're doing a merger, there are a bunch of regulators that come into the picture that need to basically state whether this merger is not creating monopolistic tendencies or creating monsters with these companies. So in addition to the Department of Justice and the FTC, various sectoral regulators have jurisdiction over mergers in their particular industries. Depending on the authority granted under the governing legislation, the sectoral regulator may have exclusive, primary, or concurrent jurisdiction. All of this mumbo jumbo. What if Adobe said, screw you, why are you in our business? Or what if we stop selling our product in the UK, for example? Even if they don't sell in the UK, it's still a problem. They can still get sued. It's still a legal problem that we would have to dispute with a country like the United Kingdom. So they kind of needed to abide by this ruling. That's why I guess other companies like Microsoft trying to acquire Activision as well is sort of a problem. It's not like you can just stop or like just ignore this regulatory body. You have to abide by their ruling and follow the rules, especially when you're a ginormous company. So my sentiment overall with this is Adobe is not a saint. Adobe is known for their malpractices when it comes to, for example, canceling your subscription, they are known for having very shady practices. So just absorbing a really good product, a really good startup like Figma under their belt would have probably been really disadvantageous to designers and people that rely on a product like Figma to be able to push out high quality products. Also, Adobe has divested 6 of their 25 acquisition over the years. Although to be fair, the last divestment was done in the 90s, so it's not that big of a deal, but could have been a cause for concern knowing that they're just a public company and they can do whatever they want. So at the end of this, who are the biggest winners? Who are the biggest losers? Well, Figma just gained a $3 billion without having to do basically anything throughout the last 15 months, on top of making money from their annual revenue from their subscribers and stuff. So the big winners here is Figma the entity and Dylan Field, the founder of the company, who just got a free Billy. Also, Adobe could be a winner here. Maybe Adobe bought Figma at a point in time where Figma was overvalued. Maybe during the 15 months when Figma was trying to move into the offices with them in California, they could have learned a lot of things that they couldn't build on their own. And now if they turn the switch on back on Adobe XD, they can just re-engineer the things that they missed. But that is knowledge that was acquired for $1 billion. So don't think that's that big of a dub. But the biggest losers here are basically the staff that were waiting for this exit to be able to get life-changing money. The staff could have gone from thousandaires to multi-millionaires, but because this didn't happen, they're just SOL. Also to the investors, they did not get anything out of this, but there was an injection of a $3 billion into one of their assets. So maybe in that sense, it is not that much of an L, but an exit is very different from your portfolio asset just getting more value. So what's next for Figma? Do they IPO to get an exit? Do they just get acquired? Do they just go back to Microsoft and try to get acquired by Microsoft? They have options still. It definitely does not take the pressure off of the leaders of a company in terms of just having a cushion of being acquired by a public giga company. All right, hope I did a good job explaining this.